Good morning to one and all. I am Dr. S. Lavanya. On this presentation, we are going to learn about what is open source technology and how far it is useful for us and for the society. After this presentation, you'll have a good idea about what are open source softwares and what are open source technologies, how far it is useful for us. Let's get started. So the contents of the presentation is first, introduction of open source softwares and what are the examples softwares available in the market and what are the benefits of open source contribution and what is free software, what are the principles of open source software, and at last, the conclusion. Let's see the introduction. What is open source? I think you all know that it is open to everybody. So all over the world, everyone can use those softwares. They are made available for all the users, and the license you can allowed to study, to modify, to distribute the softwares for any purpose. So the open collaboration model fosters innovations, transparency, and community-driven development. And you all know that it is open to all. Everybody can see the source code, and if you are good in programming, coding, and you can modify that code for your convenience for the upgrade of the software. And it often relies on a community of developers who always contribute code, report issues, and provide feedback to improve the software. Once you develop the code, if you've done a small changes in the source code, which was already on the market, then this will report the issues and you'll get an immediate feedback from the people who are working on it. Let's check out what are the open source community and what are the contributions. So this open source community is a worldwide community of programmers and software developers who are continuously working on various open source projects to make our life better. This community is a self-governing and self-organizing. You don't have any executives to take the decisions alone. This community will play a crucial role in the sustainability of various open source organizations. And the contributions are made in any open source project which improves its usability are called open source contributions. So these contributions can be of any form, not only in the source code. If you're working on improving on their documentation, and you can work on user interface or the design, or you can organize meetups, or you can find new collaborators. So this not only help the community to work on only for developers or programmers. So if you are a good designer, you can design the changes. And if you are a new collaborator, you can find new collaborators all over the world. You can have the meetups, can organize meetups with them, and you have collaborate new things with them. So this open source community and contributions will help all over the world to get new ideas, to fetch new jobs, or you can establish your innovations through everybody. Let's see what are the examples of open source softwares available. So there are so many categories of open source softwares, so which we get in the market for licensed version. So nowadays we are using MS Word. For that, we have an alternative of Linux-based contributions like Ubuntu, Fedora, Debian, and CentOS. So these are some of the operating system open source softwares. Let's see what are the web browsers available in open source. That is, we all know that Mozilla Firefox we are using. And the second one is, it's a Chromium. This is open source behind the Google Chrome. And Office suites, we all know only MS Word. So we are buying it. In the market, we have LibreOffice and Apache OpenOffice is an open source which is available. And next is CMS. content WordPress system. So there we can found WordPress, Joomla, and Drupal. And the fifth one is web servers. So we have Apache HTTP servers and Nginx. So next for DBMS, for the backend process, we'll using MS Excel and PostgreSQL. Programming languages, we have vast type of programming languages available in the open source project. One is Python, that is very, very useful for all the people, including school students are working on it. And second one is Ruby. And third one is PHP. And fourth, Java and JavaScript. For version control systems, we have GitHub and subversions available. For graphics and designers, we have GIMP. That's GNU Image Manipulation Program, Inkscape, Blender. Blender is used for 3D modeling and animations. For messaging and collaborations, we have Mastermost, Zulip, and RocketChat. Let's see what are the benefits of open source contribution. I think it is open source, and on the before slides, we came to know we can collaborate with the real world systems. We can collaborate with the people who have knowledge with them. We can organize meetup. So on the benefit side, we have an experience of working on a real world source projects. And second thing, we refine our existing knowledge of programming and also help us to learn new skills. So by this, we can upskill our knowledge. So we don't want to develop the whole thing from the scratch. We just have to fork our favorite projects and start experimenting with them. And after making any open source contributions, we get immediate feedback regarding our developmental work. So this will help us to improve and what are the mistakes we have done and what are the things we have on the growing skills. While doing open source communication contributions, we interact with like-minded developers from all over the world and build communication along the ways. The most important aspects of these contribution, it may fetch us to get a new job in the field of our own interest. So this is most important. So I want all my students to work on all the softwares. So let's see what is free software. So on the before slides, we have seen what are open source softwares. So open source softwares are available for anybody to access. And then what is free software? Free software means it's not total cost. People will misunderstand. Free software is free of cost. It's not about cost or price. It's all about freedom. This free software concept will give respect to the users, freedom, and community. It helps the users to have the freedom to run or copy or distribute, study, and change, and to improve the software. I think now you understand what is free software. Free in the sense it's not about cost, it's about community and freedom. Let's see what are the advantages of free software. It is cost-free, freedom, we have to collaborate, we have transparency, we have flexibility. So free means we can use, modify, and distribute. Freedom, software is often accompanied by a set of ethical principles that promote users' freedom to use, study, modify, and share the software. And collaboration, it often encourages collaboration among developers and users, leading to faster development and better quality software. Next, transparency. To often develop in a transparent way with the source code and development process available in the public scrutiny. And next is flexibility. Free software can be used on a wide range of platforms and devices. So you can see lots of advantages of free software. On the other side, we may also face some disadvantages of using free softwares. Like that, support, compatibility, security, complexity, documentation. So let's see what are the support, in which area we are lagging. While using free softwares does not have community of developers or users, it may not always have the same level of professional support as commercial softwares. So we'll be in lag of professional support. Second one, compatibility. It may not always be compatible with other software applications and hardware devices. And security. Free software is available for everyone to use and modify. It may be easier for malicious actors to identify and exploit vulnerabilities. Next is complexity. It can be more complex and difficult to use than commercial software, especially for non-technical users. And next is documentation. Free software may not always have the same level of documentation and user guides as commercial softwares. While using free softwares, we have to explore, we have to learn everything, and that was the major disadvantage. Next, principles of open software. So this open software technology have major 8 main principles. One is redistribution. Second one is source code. Third one is modification. Fourth is integrity. Fifth is no discrimination. Sixth is non-specificity. Seventh, no restrictions and neutrality. Let's see what is redistribution. We have a successful modification on the source code and you can be redistributed to everybody. Second one is source code. The source code must be included in the program in order to promote its distribution. Next is modification. Everyone had the access to change the source code, then you can easily modify it. Next, integrity. The softwares can be used, modified, or redistributed under a free license, provided that the license remains the same. It was not upgraded, which was not modified. So the least license will be used. No discrimination. So we don't have any group, any area of people want to use this. Open access to everybody can use. Non-specificity. The software license should not be product specific. Next, no restrictions. The program can be used for any purpose. Neutrality. The code might be designed in a neutral way in terms of technology and design. Coming to the conclusion, we have seen on this presentation, we have seen what is open source technology and what is free software. Let's have a comparison of what is free software and open source software. Free software and open source software are two distinct concepts. Each has its own strength and weakness. Free software was developed in promoting freedom and giving users to complete control over the software, what they are using. But open source is developed with the goal of producing high quality softwares that can be used by anyone, regardless of their technical ability. So ultimately, the choice between free software and open source software depends on the needs of the user and the specific problem they're trying to solve. So both have its own strength and weakness. So depends on the user. They can use free software or open source software. Otherwise, open source softwares are have the freedom to use, and non-technical users also can use free softwares. Thank you for listening to me. I think you'll have an clear idea about what is open source and what is free source. Thank you so much.